guys, just a quick interruption. This episode discusses Greek mythology and includes references to sexual assaults as well as rape. Please take care while listening, and listener discretion is advised. Thank you so much.
Hi, guys. My name is Kim,
And I'm Abby,
and this is
Calabasas.
Cultura. How are you, Abby?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm so good. I woke up this morning with gratitude
Yeah.
and excitement for this Sunday. Um, we are ready to rock and roll, and we had a lot more conversations about like where this podcast is going and our goals. And I think I think that it's so important for us to like share that gratitude together. So, Abby, I'm so grateful for you.
I'm grateful for you.
Stop. All right. We have a lot. Okay. We
Yeah.
have so much for this episode. We are going to be talking about the Olympians, most specifically the first six. So the siblings. And I want to preface it with there's a lot of information out there. The Homeric hymns, the Orific hymns, all of these different types of historical documents, myths, lore. And so I want to preface with perception, perspective, and the way in which like we interpret text. Um, the way in which Abby and I are doing this, it is not the only way. It is
Mm.
the research that we put into it. It's the information that we received. Um, it's also our own bias connected to how we connect to the deities. And so use this as a space of resource and information, but don't allow this to be the only space of resource and information because there's so much more out there. And as you start to learn, you may change your mind. You may view and connect differently. So I always want to preface, and that's going to be with everything that we do. There are so many other ways. So use this as one piece of resource and also as like just a way to have honest conversations about what we think, how we feel. So always comment, send us a message, an email at Catabasis Cultura is for our social media, calabasascultura@gmail.com is our email. So enjoy, and I'm really, really excited to share this info with you guys.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree. I think there's no one official myth that is like the most believed out of all of them. And I definitely think it varies by region too.
yeah, oh my gosh, 100% by region, by your own engagement. Like
Yeah.
that's I think the most beautiful thing about like spirituality and polytheism is that because there's so much information, we like start to develop our own kind of relationship
Mhm.
with the gods. Um, So before we begin going through specific gods, I did want to have just quick vocab in the beginning. So since we're talking about Greek gods, we are discussing Hellenistic polytheism. And that's pretty much like the revival of ancient Greek religion, the belief of multiple gods, the belief of the Greek gods, and it's based on ancient Greek religion. A lot of people are a lot more traditional and do the traditional rituals and hymns. Some people, it's very different. I feel like there aren't as many rules and structures as long as you follow those specific pieces of connecting with your deities. And then another thing that we're going to talk about is epithets. So, Abby, do you want to kind of talk a little bit about what you think epithets are?
Yeah, I think epithets are especially helpful when trying to invoke a certain aspect of a god or a goddess
Yeah.
that you specifically want to work with. I mean, names hold power, definitely. So I think that's just what it is, like another name for the deity. Hmm.
Yeah, I agree. That's literally how I see it too. It's also based on a characteristic of the deity. Usually it's like based on the hymn or the story as well. And so like you'll see us or you'll hear us talk about specific epithets with the gods that we're going to be discussing today. I try to only focus on 1 to 2 at a time because there are so fucking many. There
Some
are
have more
so
than
many.
others. Yeah.
Yeah, Hecate, Aphrodite, um Zeus. There are a lot. So, Abby, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, I'll start off with Demeter.
Mm,
Demeter is the Olympian goddess of agriculture and grain. And she is who sustained mankind with the earth's bounty. And when she didn't, it was known because the earth was
yep.
barren in the myth. Demeter had one
Fertility?
daughter. Yeah, Demeter had one daughter, Persephone, and she had her with Zeus, her brother. And Persephone was the child of spring. And when Persephone was lost to Demeter, when she was abducted by King Hades and led him to Demeter, Demeter withheld her gifts from the earth and turned the land into like a frozen desert,
Yeah.
pretty much. And this only lasted though for 4 months out of the year, and that's where we get the change of seasons. And I think that's how the Greeks interpreted the change of seasons. But also, there's like a whole other side to the story, in my opinion.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think Demeter can be seen kind of as like an overbearing mother, but I don't think so. I think I saw it that way in the beginning. Like, well, how long was she gonna hold on to Persephone? Would anybody be fit for Persephone? But I think also Demeter went through that trauma as well. I mean, she went through trauma trying to find Persephone,
Yeah. I
like
agree.
being raped by Poseidon.
Yep.
That's in some myths. And yes, maybe like she is an overbearing mother, but it definitely doesn't come without precedent, like I said. And I think she has good reason to want to guard her daughter, but also like there's two sides to the same coin. And like every myth, like I said, when was Persephone gonna be ready? Who would be fit for Persephone? And I think another thing in some myths is that Zeus gave permission to Hades to abduct her. And I think that's how a lot of things went down. And
Yeah.
ancient Greece. And I think that's how they try to explain away some of it. I've also read that in ancient Greece, they would kind of like sit their daughters basically on their laps, like it's been explained. And like in the middle of the night, their suitors or their future husbands would come and abduct them. And that's how it
Yeah.
went. And that is like they would sell their daughter. Like it would be stuff like that. So
Yeah.
this story, I think, wasn't as jarring to the ancient Greeks as it is us. Like us hearing that,
Yeah.
we're like, what? But this is how it went. This is societal norms back then. Like this is just how it went for
Yeah. I think
almost everyone,
I
every
think that's
woman.
so important. I think it's so
Mhm,
important to really talk about the cultural
mhm,
differences from ancient Greece and now because that was normalized. That was something that was normal. I mean, I'm going to touch base a bit on the patriarchy of ancient Greece during that time period. And so like as we are connecting more with learning about our gods and goddesses, we also have to understand the time frame and the
mhm.
time period and the culture within that. So I do agree. I feel like reading about it now, it's like, side eye, sister, brother, your cousin, what the
Yeah,
fuck? But during this time period, that was something that through the myths, it was a very normalized kind of ideology. And so then the question is just like, how do we receive, interpret, and place it upon our belief system and the way in which we connect? And so that's why we always preface with like, take this information and build from it and expand because we don't know it all. Half the time we don't
mm,
know anything and we're researching and we're building the same
mhm,
way you guys are building your knowledge, we are too. And so it's really, really important to make space for the belief systems and culture of that time period in order for us to understand. So I think you said it
yeah,
extremely well, Abby. Like I agree. I think that it's so important to like look at both.
mhm.
Um
And I think
is
there
there
had to be a story and to explain why winter came and there was just no
yeah.
crops like that. She is the goddess of agriculture and the good harvest. So like if something isn't right with the harvest, they have to explain that away. Like, I can
Yeah.
completely understand it. That brings me to another point. She was seen a lot with a scepter, cornucopia, ears of corn, a sheaf of wheat, a torch, and then occasionally a crown of flowers. And same with Persephone. Um, so that leads me into another thing. The Eleusinian mysteries were associated with Demeter. They were for Demeter and Persephone.
Yeah, they
These
were.
are these were like secret religious rituals like that we don't have a lot of information on. Um but these were so important that the so-called sacred way, a 14-mile road between Athens and the smaller city of Ulysses, was the only actual road in the central part of Greece until the Romans came. So it was very important. Yeah. And am I mistaken, or didn't Demeter, she came as a human to a
Yes.
group in Ulysses, right? And that's how like it pretty much all started.
Yes. So
Yeah.
she did. I don't remember if it was that she provided harvests for them, and so
Hmm.
then they created a space in her honor, but I do know
Yeah.
there are a lot of hymns and stories of her either being a human woman or an older woman going
Yes, coming to
into.
I've seen that,
Yeah,
the older woman. And
yeah, and it's
also
so
she
cool.
was worshipped in Crete, Delos, Argolos, Attica, the western coast of Asia, Sicily, and Italy for good harvest. So she was weird. But
If you hear my cats, I'm sorry, it's Ophelia, she's screaming.
another one of her epithets that I like, my favorite, is Thesmophoros. It's translated as bringer of law, and this highlights her association with the laws of like agriculture. But I think in today's translation, that could be, you could work with her in a lot of ways with that epithet.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can. Oh my god, yes, I love Demeter.
And to finish up for Demeter, because we do have a lot that we're gonna have to cover, a lot of people. I'm gonna read a little bit of the Orphic hymn to Demeter. Just a little bit of it, my favorite part of it. Okay, it says to Demeter, Eleusinia. Is that how you say it? Eleusinia?
Yes, I believe so.
Correct me if I'm wrong. O universal mother, Thea famed August, the source of wealth, and various named, great nurse, all bounteous, blessed and divine, who joyous in peace to nourish corn is thine, goddess of seed, of fruits abundant, fair harvest and threshing are thy constant care, lovely, delightful queen by all desired, who dwellest in Ulysses, holy vales retired. Nurse of all Nurse of all mothers, mine first plowing oxen to the yoke confined, and gave men what nature wants require, with plenteous means of bliss which all desire. Yeah, I think they liked her. What do you think?
Maybe. I think she's oh my god, she's incredible. I love Demeter.
Yeah,
Um,
we could do a whole episode on just a meter
we could literally there's so
on each of
much.
them. Mm,
Yes. I wanted to kind of transition into someone who impacted her life.
yeah.
Um, And trigger warning, we're going to talk a little bit about SA, so sexual assaults and things of that nature. All right, so I am going to talk about Poseidon. So Poseidon is the god of the sea. He's also considered the god of earthquakes, floods, droughts, and horses. And this is in connection to Athena as well as Demeter, and we're going to talk more about that him as well.
Mm,
He has lots of children. So his children are Triton, Rhode, Benthesimi, I believe is how you say it, Theseus, and so many more, including Poly. Forgot how to say his name, but he is one of the Cyclops. And his wife is Amphitrite, and I thought it was very interesting to kind of read through his hymns and all of his information, and you don't really hear from her a lot, or you don't really hear from her in his history and in
yeah.
his stories. Also, side note, we're gonna try our absolute best with pronunciation. If we fuck it up, you tell us. Hold us accountable. We're gonna try our best though.
Mhm.
Um, and so when I was doing some research and connecting with his history, it was very interesting the dynamic between destroyer and protector because there was always that very clear line of either Poseidon is the protector or he is the destroyer. And a
Yeah.
lot of the stories really connected to his anger issues. And he would have a lot of issues, or I wouldn't say issues, there would be a lot of engagement with his temper, and his want for expansion. And so we're
Mhm.
going to talk also about the tension between him and Zeus. Um, so one of his most notable kind of cult following and historical like importance is the creation of the Minotaur. And this one is really, really cool. This one I think is in connection to his want for creation and wrath, but also like a little bit of justice. Cause I mean, if you're telling a god you're gonna do something and you don't do it, I mean, chances are there's a
Yeah.
consequence. So King Minos was a king of Crete. And in order to establish his rule, he asked for help from Poseidon. And he was like, hey, hook a brother up. Let's go. And so Poseidon gave him a gift of a bull. And it was such a beautiful, gorgeous, strong bull. And Poseidon told them, you have to sacrifice this bull in order for you to get this support from me, in order to get this engagement from me. And so King Minos, he thought he couldn't kind of outsmart a god and decided to kill a different bull because he wanted to keep that one. Poseidon knew about it. And so what he did was, it was real petty. He caused King Minos's wife, Pasiphae, I believe is how you pronounce her
Mhm.
name, to fall in love with the bull, or in the story, fall in love with the bull. So
Oh.
Pasiphae fell in love with the bull, and they ended up having the Minotaur, and that was
Mhm.
his way of enacting justice for not listening. And so it's like, I mean, I get it if like
Yeah.
you want Poseidon's help, he's telling you exactly what to do, you don't do it. But it's like, what did Pasiphae have to do with any of this? Okay, she was minding her own business. This was all on Minos. Um, and then I also wanted to go back to, I never knew anything about him being the god of horses, but it was a competition with Athena for Athens. And
Mhm.
so, in order to have that expansion, because he didn't want to just be the god of the sea, when they separated everything, it was more King Zeus separating everything, and he wanted a bit more.
Yeah.
And so, during this competition, he created the first horse. But then Athena came in with an olive branch, and they decided that she would be the best ruler or connection to the city of Athens. And so he lost and she won. But that's where horses were created. He was the one who created the first one.
I did not
But
know
there's
that.
also, yeah, right. I
Mhm.
never knew this. This is something that I also didn't know. Like I did read a little bit about it before, but I never was so in depth with it. But the like the engagement or assault of Demeter. So Demeter was running away from the information that I read in the research. Poseidon was trying to kind of court Demeter, and she didn't want
Mhm.
anything to do with it, and so she ran away. But she turned into a fawn, I believe. And instead of leaving her be, Poseidon turned into a horse and assaulted her. And so then they created a child together from that assault. And so again, it's so difficult to kind of like, at least for me, when I'm reading about these certain stories, hymns and myths, it's really difficult to have conversations about this
Yeah.
without also understanding that like Greek gods were not known for being divinely good.
Yeah.
It's not the same as Christianity, heaven and hell.
Mhm.
Like, there was a lot of complexity and faults and flaws, and like there's a reason why there are hymns to the wrath of certain gods and goddesses. Um,
They're
and
meant
so
to
like
show
reading about,
aspects of the human race in every which way, the good and
yes,
evil, not just
yeah,
what is digestible.
yeah. As we collected information and studied and engaged with the gods and what they represent and who they are and how they were kind of established in Greek culture, um, I feel like Abby and I, when we spoke, like you said it best, of like we see them in the phases of humanity, and that is good and evil. It's neutral. It's all of that. And so reading through this, it's hard to not become biased and be like, how is that? Like, what? And there's
Mhm.
so much of it in like Greek myths. And so it's really is about perspective, it's about interpretation, and it's about how you receive it. Because I know in some myths it wasn't assault, it was that he courted her and they ended up making a child. And so for me personally, I think it's really important to look at all aspects. And it's like we can't always romanticize or kind of pick and choose how we see. Like we have to see it in all of its capacity in
Yeah.
order to truly understand the gods. And so that's why it's very important to talk about these things, like the good, the bad, the ugly, because that's who they are. They are all encompassing. And so yeah, so like we see Poseidon as this protector, but again, people also see him as a destroyer. And so he another story of his or myth was the support for Troy, um, until they did not pay what was due. And it's the same thing with King Minos. There was a lot of that, like, oh, we'll do this, and we didn't. And so he ended up creating a sea monster to destroy Troy. Um, and it's so interesting to kind of like as I'm reading about him and be like, "Oh, this man is petty." Poseidon is petty. Like he's like, "Oh, you owe me $1. I'm gonna clear out this entire continent," kind of situation. And it's the power of the gods, and it's also that tension between like wanting to be the king of the gods. So there is a lot
Yeah.
of tension between him and Zeus, at least from what I've read. Like when we're gonna talk a little bit about Hera. Well, we're gonna talk a lot of it because I got um but there is that want of overthrowing Zeus at times, and there are a lot of hymns regarding that. And so now I want to transition into who honors Poseidon during this time period. So there were a lot of different temples, and most of them were on the coast of Greece, and it was Isthmus, Isthmus of Corinth, the Oracle of Tanarum in Laconia, which I thought was really cool because we always consider the Oracle as Apollo's because that's
Yeah.
I connect with Apollo and I consider myself a devotee of Apollo, and we know of the Oracle of Delphi, and we know about all these different things. But when I was also researching, there shows the um I don't know how to say this, but so give me a minute. It's Aeschylus. It's Aeschylus. So Ascleus, I think it is, or Aeschylus version. And so in this version, it shows Poseidon and Gaia shared the oracle first before the transition of Apollo. And this is the
Mm.
first time I've ever heard that because
Yeah,
I've
I didn't
always
know
seen it
that.
as like the Oracle of Delphi and it was
Hmm.
Apollo's connection. And
Yeah.
so it was really interesting to see that interpretation. um, his attributes, the way in which we see him and connect with him is a three-pronged trident, as well as sea creatures. That's the deepest connection. There's so many more, but those are the two that are the main focus. And his cult following. So during this time period, trade was abundant. Transitions, moving, migration, and all of those different things. So sailors and fishermen prayed and created altars for Poseidon for safe voyage and for calm waters. And so if there was ever,
Sucks.
yeah, makes sense. And then horse breeders. I've never fucking
That's
heard of this a day in my
crazy.
life.
That's
Horse
crazy.
breeders, yeah, they would pray and invoke Poseidon and provide altars and offerings to ensure that when they do breed horses that they're strong and they can maintain
Hmm.
and so that they can maintain their business. And I thought that that was really cool. One of the major, because there's so many epithets of Poseidon, is Pelagios or Pelagios, and that is of the sea. So if you are connecting with him in terms of his control over this ocean, it would be that epithet. So much information. We're ending it with a hymn. Here is, let me just get it. Here is a hymn for Poseidon. And this is the Homeric hymn 22. I begin to sing about Poseidon, the great god, mover of the earth and fruitless sea, god of the deep who is also lord of Helicon and wide Aegea. O shaker of the earth, to be a tamer of horses and a savior of ships. Hail Poseidon, holder of the earth, dark haired lord. O blessed one, be kindly in heart and help those who voyage in ships. So, this is a hymn that they would use to provide safety and comfort when traveling.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's Poseidon. He's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, I'll that just brings me into Poseidon's other brother. I feel
Yes,
like you say other brother because Zeus is the king of the gods, but King Hades is the king of the underworld. I'm a little
sure,
biased. But
sure.
so, um, Zeus received the sky, and as we just talked about, Poseidon the seas, and then Hades the underworld. The sisters Hera and Hestia and Demeter were not included in this conversation,
Nope.
which I mean, we have no. I mean, just the patriarchy. That's really
Yep.
the only answer. Um, and let's see. The Underplace is a world where all human souls went, and it's also known as Hades, like the name Hades. It's not the Christian equivalent to hell by any means. It's where all of the souls went. Like, you know what I mean? There's a lot of levels to the underworld, and we'll get into that in another episode. Um, Good or bad, it's all encompassing. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And Queen Persephone rules alongside King Hades. Um, in the Iliad, the underworld was a dominion between the secret place on Earth. So, as we talked about with Demeter, so when Persephone becomes queen, spoiler alert, Persephone becomes queen.
Yes, she does.
Queen Persephone rules alongside Hades, and we're gonna jump into a whole episode about the chthonic deities, and we're gonna talk all about that. But in the Iliad, the underworld dominion was seen as a secret place on Earth, so it was like on Earth. But in the Homeric hymn, the Odyssey, it was described as only accessible by crossing the ocean. Either way, the realm was separate from the land of the living, and one god resided over it, and that god was Hades. So, whether it be a completely secret place on Earth or at the end of the ocean, we don't, the two works are different. It
Yeah.
might not seem different, but it is. It is because of the way in which the story is told and how they get there, how Odysseus gets there. Later works of Hades that depicted him with a unique weapon, and it's presumably crafted by Hephaestus because he is the iron worker, I guess you could say, or metal maker. I mean, I
Yeah,
guess
he
you
was a
could say that.
craftsman. Yeah,
The
yeah.
craftsman, the craftsman, that's the word I'm looking for.
I got you, girl.
And it was a two-pronged bident. It was similar to the three-pronged trident of Poseidon, however, it only featured two prongs.
Yeah.
And then I think a lot of the bident having the two prongs, like with the devil with the bident, is like a
Mhm.
play on Hades, which is completely blasphemous.
Yes.
So
Disgusting. Untrue.
no, no. Anyway, he's the OG. No. Anyways, so he would also hold a cornucopia called the Horn of Plenty, just like Demeter, but in a different way, because Hades is seen as the wealthy one, which leads me into some of his epithets.
Mhm.
Pluton is wealthy, the wealthy one or giver of wealth. Eubulius, good counselor, and Adonius, the unseen one. Um, the unseen one, I like that one a lot. I would use that honestly even in protection measures. But Hades really is the unseen one when I say that, because making this, it was kind of hard being a devotee to him because I can't, not that I can't, but I don't want to say too much because I have to
Yeah.
honor that he is the unseen one. But he did want me to tell y'all that he loves chocolate, especially brownies. And
And
I'm gonna
music, I
read,
guess.
yeah, and music. Oh my gosh, his camera was going crazy when we were singing to him
Mhm.
before this. But I'm gonna read a little bit of his Orphic hymn, the Orphic hymn to Pluto. It goes, Pluto Magnimus, whose realms profound are fixed beneath the firm and solid ground, and the Tartarian plains remote from flight and wrapped forever in the depths of night. Terrestrial drove thy sacred ear incline, and please accept thy mystic's hymn divine. I love that. I
Oh,
love that. I love that
like,
last
you can, like,
part.
feel it.
Thy sacred ear incline, and please accept thy mystic's hymn divine. I just love it.
Ugh, dude, I love that so much. That like, it gives you the tingles.
Yeah, it does. Oh, and another thing, things like in his myth that he has a heavy connection with, of course, are pomegranates. And
Yeah,
some, we'll get into that in the Chthonic episode, but some sources say that he gave the seeds, whether it was three or six, to Persephone to trick her, or she willingly ate them and she knew
yeah,
the cause, or she didn't. There's multiple, not that we don't
yeah.
know, there's multiple stories, and not
Interpretations,
one is
yeah.
more true than the other. It's just how it is. And so he's also connected with dogs, Cerberus, and chariots. And chariots is how which he chariots was what he rode on when he abducted Persephone. And he's also related to white poplar and cypress trees.
Mhm. Ugh.
And
Yeah,
that's good.
I love him. And I love the understanding and the importance of as a devotee, like, there are certain things you can talk about, there are certain things you can't talk about because
Hmm.
it's a way to show respect of your God, of who you
Yeah.
connect with.
Hmm.
Because some gods prefer to be talked about, to be shared, to be discussed, and some don't, and so I do love that you kind of took up space to say that, because I was gonna ask you, I was like, "How are you feeling sharing this and talking about this?" As I believe, like, you are gaining and understanding and building your priestesshood for Hades.
Absolutely. Really, just given the facts. Um, like, you know what I mean? Both sides to every story. He's not supposed to be this all bad underworld guy, but he's also not good. He's a very liminal being.
Yeah.
Like we said, these are very the gods show the multifaceted the gods show how multifaceted humanity can be. So we have to have those stories, I think, in a
Yeah.
way. And
Yeah, no, I
Hades,
agree.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome. And so we talked a little bit about, like, the controversies and the kind of flaws of gods. Imma cut
yeah.
to Lady Hestia, the most unproblematic queen in the Olympians.
Honey,
I love Lady Hestia. Like, I have a space in my kitchen for her. Like,
yeah.
she is
And I
just
know that means a lot to you because you are a kitchen witch, and
yeah,
Hestia, you always give Hestia a plate of food.
I do
I think that's
always.
awesome. Hmm.
Yes, like, we talked about this, like, I am building my brujeria, I'm building who I am as a bruja, but I would have to say I'm more eclectic. I do love kitchen witchery, I do like a little bit of chaos, like, I food is a way in which I connect with my deities, like, right now I'm
Yeah.
building my bond with Santissima, and for every morning, she gets a cup of coffee, she gets her water. Hestia, she's the first person if I cook my meals, she's the person that gets or she's the goddess that gets the food first. Um,
Hmm.
that's she is the goddess of the hearth. So, I get so much joy talking about her because I think she's just incredible. She is considered the goddess of the hearth, the goddess of the home, of domestication, of family, and the sacrificial flame.
Hmm.
Like all of them, their parents are, or like all six of the Olympians, her parents are Cronus and Rhea, and I think her story is so interesting because they really emphasized on her being the eldest and the youngest, as she was the firstborn, but the lastborn when Kronos kind of regurgitated them.
Yeah.
And so there was that huge importance of her being the eldest as well as the youngest. Um, Another really, really important piece of Hestia is her lack of wanting to be in marriage or be betrothed or have any courtship. So again, we've said this before, we're going to say it again. There was a very distinctive patriarchy in ancient Greece, and that translated into their religion as well.
Mhm.
So I know there was Apollo and Poseidon that wanted to court her and wanted to marry her and have children with her. But she had to ask Zeus for approval to remain chaste. So she wanted to remain a virgin, remain unmarried. And in order to have that, she had to ask the patriarchy, the top of the hierarchy, which is
Yeah.
Zeus, for permission, and he granted that
Mhm.
for her. So um she is a virgin, she is chaste, she is and will remain so because that is what she sought, that she didn't want to be a part of any family tie or marriage and things like that, which I think is also
Yeah.
so indicative of who she is, um, because she is very much like her own individual, her own kind of power, and it's so interesting. Um, and so because she represented the home and the hearth, almost, if not all, individuals in ancient Greece had an altar for her, and that was either a hearth right in the front
Really.
of the home, right
Mhm.
in the center. Every single one.
Yeah.
There were even public hearths for the people of ancient Greece. Like, there was the importance of having her in the home because she's what kept the home harmonious. She's what kept the
Mhm.
flame going, the warmth and the love and the abundance of the home. Um and so it was extremely important. A lot of ancient Greek people, as well as like including myself, as I am polytheistic, I do connect with Lady Hestia. Like we said earlier, I feed her first. Um, if I'm cooking, her and Santissima, they get their food first before I eat and before my boyfriend eats. It's just the way in which the hierarchy is in my household, and it's also a way to honor the gods of like you we are sharing this meal together. I made this with so much love and respect for you because you keep my house
Mhm.
harmonious, because you protect this home. And for Santissima as a folk saint, which again I am still learning and I'm still building my practice with her. I'm very much very new devotee. That's something that's important as well. Um, Another really cool and interesting thing about her is her attributes. So, two big attributes for her, or ways that she's represented, is the hearth as well as bread, as it's the connection of the home and the kitchen. And for a lot of Greek gods, they're in connection to certain animals. During the ancient Greek religion, so before we kind of revived it, she didn't have any animals connected to her. It wasn't
Really.
until most recently, as we revived the practice, then it was pigs and donkeys that were most connected to her because those were the most common animals that were used in the home or for the home.
So how
And
recent? Do you know how recent that is?
It was so it was
Like just a
after
roundabout.
the Homeric hymns.
Okay.
It's more like in correct me if I'm wrong, people of the universe.
This is where
It
we
was
learn.
more right? I believe when I was like looking into it, it's more like now recent, like as we revived
Wow.
Greek culture and Greek ideology. Because when I was looking in like the Homeric hymns, when I was looking in all of the documentation, like Orphic hymns, there wasn't really that connection to animals. It was very much of the hearth.
Mm.
And so,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, please, but I'm pretty sure it was literally as we started to revive ancient Greek religion and
That's
spirituality.
so interesting.
Right? I when I was looking at it, like, it wasn't an attribute until most recently, which is very cool. Um,
Mhm.
so 2 epithets that I use personally, that connect me the most with Lady Hestia is, Adios or Adios, which is eternal, and, Pathenotati or, Pathenotati, which is beloved, and I feel like they're
I
both
love
such
that.
strong yeah, right? They're such
That
strong
is strong.
representations of who she is. She is the eternal flame, but she is also one of the most beloved Olympians because she is just for me, she's just so unproblematic. She really
Mhm.
is. Ugh,
Queen.
um, she is oh my god, yeah. And so I'm gonna read just a quick hymn to Lady Hestia. And so this one is Homeric hymn 5. So nor yet does the pure maiden Hestia love Aphrodite's works. She was the firstborn child of wily Cronus, and the youngest, too, by will of Zeus, who holds the Aegis, a queenly maid whom both Poseidon and Apollon sought to wed. But she was wholly unwillingly, nay, stubbornly refused. And touching the head of Father Zeus, who holds the Aegis, she, that fair goddess, sware a great oath, which has in truth been fulfilled, that she would be a maiden all her days. So Zeus the father gave her a high honor instead of marriage, and she has her place in the midst of the house and has the richest portion. In all
Oh,
the
sounds like
temple
a
of God,
dream.
right? In all the temples of the gods, she has a share of honor, and among all mortal men, she is chief of the goddesses. Of these three, Aphrodite cannot bend or ensnare the hearts. And so it was the relationship of like, you
Yeah.
know, how, yeah, Aphrodite is the goddess of love and of connection. It's really that reestablishing of Hestia has control over these. This is
Mhm.
Hestia's space as well. Um, but yeah, so that told a little bit of the story of how she became chaste. Um, but that's Hestia, and I love her so
Yeah.
much. Ugh, I love Hestia.
Yeah, I'll just jump straight into Zeus next. Cause after Zeus, we're gonna talk
Yeah.
about his wife. His wife. Oh my
Oh my
gosh, one
goodness.
second.
I'm so ready. I'm ready for war. Yeah, go ahead. I know this is a
Okay.
good transition to Zeus because I mean Hestia became Hestia, or I wouldn't say Hestia became. Hestia was given these spaces because of Zeus.
Yeah, I feel like Hestia is like he kind of a standalone god like Zeus can be. Even
Yeah,
though Zeus
yeah.
is married, Zeus kind of does what he wants, and we're gonna talk about that. Zeus is the king
Yep.
of the gods and the god of the sky, weather, law and order, destiny, and fate. Juice's or Juice. Zeus's
You know
origin.
what? You right.
Yep. He was the youngest child of the Titans Kronos and Rhea. Uranus predicted that Kronos would be overthrown by his children one day. Um, with his sister Rhea, Kronos had many children: Hestia, Demeter, Hades, Poseidon, just like all we've talked about. To prevent
Mhm.
his father's prophecy from coming true, though, Kronos swallowed all of his children at birth. But when Zeus was born, Rhea hid him in Crete and tricked Kronos into swallowing a stone swaddled in cloth.
Yep, she
That's
protected
actually
him.
crazy.
Yep. She was like,
Smart
"Nope."
woman. Not
Mhm. She's
my
like, "No,
baby.
thank you."
Not the king of the gods.
Yeah, like you thought.
Yes.
Like, there's a
No.
reason why he was born, babe.
You're getting overthrown. You're getting overthrown. Um, after Zeus grew up, he rescued his siblings by forcing Kronos to vomit them up. Zeus and his siblings fought a long war against Kronos, eventually overthrowing him. The war lasted 10 years, which is, yeah, which is pretty long. After the war, they drew lots, like we talked about, to divide the rule of the cosmos. Like we said, Zeus got the sky, Poseidon the sea, and Hades the underworld. Um, and Zeus married his sister Hera. He married her by seducing her in the guise of a cuckoo bird. A
Which I
cuckoo
think is
bird,
crazy. I think
which I
that's
think
so
is
crazy.
insane. Like seducing her in the guise of a cuckoo bird. Seducing bird, like being a bird and trying to seduce, like you wouldn't think that would work, but it did, I guess.
It
Go off,
worked.
King.
She
Go off.
Mhm.
Whatever works. Um, Zeus seduced many women though. Including Leda in the guise of a swan, Europa as a bull, Danae as a shower of gold, Alcmene as her husband, Callisto as the goddess Artemis, and Antiope as a satyr. So yeah, he's just out here. He's
That man
like,
is
there's a
out
will,
there.
there's a way.
He is for the streets.
Yeah, he's a horn dog. Um, respectfully, Zeus, we love it. Go off, King.
Go
Some
off.
of his attributes are a lightning bolt, obviously. Come on. A scepter, a throne, and wreaths of olive leaves. Zeus devoured the pregnant goddess Metis when an oracle revealed that her son was destined to replace him as the king of the gods. Their child Athena was subsequently born in Zeus's belly and birthed directly from his head. Um, that's crazy.
Right? I think it's so fucking cool, and then she ended up being his favorite, so, like, a
Love
win.
that, of course, and that's how it always goes. With the
Mhm.
toughest daughter, they love them the most.
Mhm.
We know that. It's fine. Anyways, Zeus is typically invoked for safety, fate, order, and justice related issues, and ultimately just honored as the king of the gods. Like, if I was to invoke him, I'd definitely invoke him for protection and safety, for
Yeah.
sure. Altars to Zeus were typically outside of the home, which makes sense because he is the king of the gods, and I mean, I think him and Hestia being in the home, or and well, one outside the home and then one in the home. Oh, chef's kiss! Like that's all you need.
Yeah.
Come on,
Right?
Zeus and Hestia,
I
right
would
there.
love to have an altar outside, like, that is a dream of mine is to
Yeah.
have an altar outside because it's like, think about the
Mhm.
smoke connecting up to the sky, so yes, I agree.
Yeah, and who better than the king of the gods?
Mhm.
Duh. Okay, and I'm gonna read a part of his sorry, I'm jumbling over my words because I was about to say I'm about to sing his hymn, which I mean I guess it's
Like, "Alright, sing it,
technically
baby
that.
girl."
And it goes, I will sing of Zeus, chiefest among the gods and greatest all sing, the Lord of all, the fulfiller who whispers words of wisdom. Themis, as she sits leaning towards him, be gracious, all seeing, son of Kronos, most excellent and great. Most excellent.
So
And then, I mean, the Olympics are literally dedicated to Zeus,
yeah,
if that says anything. Like,
man
yeah,
has it.
yeah, he does. He's got it going on. And his wife, I think, has it even more.
Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, I went down a rabbit hole, and then another rabbit hole, and then another
Oh
rabbit hole when
gosh,
it
I'm
came
excited.
to the
Is it the
queen of
best for
gods.
last? Is it the best for last?
I think so. Like, it's, controversy
Maybe.
over controversy because, you know, I'm a toxica and I need the
Oh, hey.
I loves the problems. Come here.
Come on, let's
Um,
go. Bring it.
Queen of Gods, Lady Hera. So, I'm gonna be bouncing around with her because there's so much information, um, and there's not enough time to talk about it. There's not enough time in the world, and so shortening and truncating all of these to fit one episode, we are doing a thing, okay? So,
Yeah.
Hera is the goddess of marriage. She is the queen of gods. She's a goddess of childbirth, and
I
she
love
is
that.
married to Zeus. They have a lot of children together. Well, like Zeus in general had like 20 billion children. But for them, their children were Ares, Hebe, Ethelia, I believe is how I say it. It's Elithia, sorry, Elithia. Um, and
Oh,
those
I
are the
like
children
that,
they had
Alithia.
together, right? And then the children she had by herself were Hephaestus and Typhoeus, but that Typhoeus is more in the Homeric hymn, and that's where he shows. Um, Hephaestus was all out of pettiness, which queen. Um, she birthed Hephaestus after being in a fit of rage from Zeus's many infidelities. But it was such a sad, like the story of Hephaestus was really heartbreaking because she gave birth to him, and it seemed like he wasn't beautiful or created fully. So there are a lot of stories and hymns on him either having like a physical ailment or disability, and because of that, Zeus threw him out of Olympia. Um,
Mm.
yeah, it's like yeah, and so she birthed him by
I
herself.
didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
insane. The family lineage is there's a lot of very dark stories involved in it.
Yeah.
So for her specifically, Argos and Samos were the two big spaces of worship. And when I talk about the worship of Hera, I have to talk about both sides. So in the Homeric hymns, they really talk about her as like being this very jealous, angry, vengeful goddess. Um, because she tried to kill Heracles and Dionysus, due to them being Zeus's children, out of wedlock, out of their home. For Aegina, she poisoned an island. She tried to prevent Leto from giving birth. So Leto or Leto is the mother of Lady Artemis, where she is hanging out back there. and Lord Apollo.
Okay.
And because they are the children of Zeus and not of Hera, and Hera is the goddess of childbirth, she did everything she
Oh,
could to not allow Leto to have a safe space to give birth, which she ended up doing anyway. Lady Artemis actually helped Leto give birth to her
what?
children. So yeah, oh my god, I love her. Artemis was born and then helped her give birth to Apollo. It was
That's
really like the
so
story's
cool. I feel
beautiful.
like I have heard a little bit of that before. That's
Ugh,
cool.
so good. Um, and then another big myth, there's 2. Um, Hera assisted the Greeks in the Trojan War, and she also
Mhm.
attempted to overthrow Zeus. And this was with Poseidon. So when we spoke earlier about how there's that tension of Poseidon wanting to overthrow Zeus,
Yeah.
during the attempt of Hera, Poseidon also tried to help, and it was pretty much putting Zeus to sleep and chaining him. And then Zeus ended up making it out, and he hung Hera. I don't know how long. I forgot how long he hung her from her ankles, but there's also that story of the retaliation because he is the god of justice. Um, so her attributes are the peacock, the cuckoo, and the crown. But in pre 600 BC, one of her biggest attributes was pomegranates. And this is where we're going to talk about a little bit of her story in the eyes of female suppression. There was this really incredible article that I found, and I am going to open it up. It's so interesting. And it's called Subjugating Hera, a chthonic goddess of
Mm.
fertility and formidable heroine. And this was written by Deannick Riddick, and she has a PhD. And so I'm going to also add the link to this because this is the first time I've ever read about this. And as I was reading it, I searched for other resources and went through the bibliography, and it seems like it
We
has a
love
lot
a
of
pomegranate over here.
wow, my right. We're very much into
Pomegranate?
chthonic and death. Yeah, it's like, "Oh, excuse me?" But yeah, so there's a big controversy against or towards like female suppression in ancient Greece. And we touch base on it with like Hestia, and Demeter and all of these different aspects of the patriarchy. And so with this specifically, we're focusing on the lack of retaliation or the inability to retaliate on Zeus's infidelity and things like that. And so with Deanna Riddick, she spoke a lot about the remythologicalization in 8th century BC of due to Homer. And so from what she spoke about, she kind of discussed how the Homeric hymns really force this idea and rhetoric of Hera just being a jealous wife,
Yeah.
and not the all-encompassing goddess that she is. Um,
Mhm.
and so she spoke a little bit about give me just one moment because I want to make sure. Um,
That's so interesting.
yeah, and so in the island of Samos, that's where a lot of her worship was. She wanted to talk a lot about how there was the representation and veneration of Hera as a chthonic deity as well as a fertility goddess. Um,
Really?
yeah, isn't that freaking crazy? Like
Yeah.
when I was reading about this, I was like, I have never heard this a day in my life. And so again, fact check me, provide information and insight if in anything I'm saying is incorrect. Um, but she did have a large following in Samos, and evidence showed that the settlers from mainland Greece brought her over in veneration. We know her as the goddess of marriage, but she was also a goddess of childbirth and protector of women, as well as an earth based goddess, so a chthonic deity and a fertility goddess. So a lot of women honored her and venerated her for protection in childbirth, for protection
Mhm.
in spaces of kind of male dominated spaces, pretty much,
Yeah.
and for harmony and marital harmony. Um, and they really focused on the strength, dignity, and resilience of Lady Hera. Um, and she was celebrated during the Samhain Haria or Herea, and that was a festival dedicated only to her. And it was a platform for women's public participation. So if we look into ancient Greece culture, it was a democracy. It was a space of more community based strength,
Mm.
but we have to dig deeper and understand that while it was a democracy for free male citizens. And so
Mhm.
a lot of the power in place was due to men. And
Yeah.
so Hera kind of provided an opportunity for a lot of women in this culture to have some type of platform and protection. Um, and then she also was celebrated in Tonea, I think is how I say it. And that's the Lygos tree. And let's see what else. And there was also, so you know how for Zeus the Olympics was a way to honor him? So the Salmon Harea, they had their own female Olympics.
Oh,
And
that's
there
so
were,
cute.
yeah, and there were like athletic like competitions
Oh,
for women
yeah.
and all these different, yeah, it's so freaking cool.
Why did that's never I've never heard that.
It is the most interesting information. And so like as I was reading it, it was like I have never read these pieces regarding Lady Hera.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really, really important to share it. And so again, provide more information, provide feedback, because this is one of many stories of Lady Hera. And so
Mhm.
it's really important to talk about those things.
Yeah, I'm sure this is not the last time we're gonna bring her up.
No,
Okay.
oh my god, like, again, we could talk so much about them.
Mhm.
And so we talked about the temple in Samos, but there's also the cult of Hera, and that's in connection to, uh, what we were just talking about of, like, the competitions, the traditions, and the celebrations. And that's the Heraion, which is she's considered the protector in Argolis. And one of the epithets that people pray and invoke most is, Peleia, which is the married and fulfilled. And that's for harmony within the marriage. And I want to just finish with one hymn to Hera, and this is the Orphic hymn to Hera. O royal Hera of majestic mien, Ariel formed divine Zeus's blessed queen, throned in the bosom of cerulean air. The race of mortals is thy constant care. The cooling gaze they power alone inspires, which nourishes life, which every life desires. Mother of showers and winds from thee alone, producing all temperament divine and universal sway alone, is thine with sounding blasts of wind, the swelling sea and rolling rivers roar when shook by thee. Come, blessed goddess, famed almighty queen, with aspect kind, rejoicing and serene. Ah,
I
I
like
love
that.
reading Greek hymns. I think it's the coolest thing. But yeah, that is
Mhm.
Hera and the complexities of the Queen of Gods. Um, thank you so much for listening. Again, I'm gonna keep saying this shit because
That
this
was
shit
so
is so
fun.
important.
Yeah.
This is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to information on Greek
That is so
gods.
true.
It, there's so much information.
Mhm.
And so please share with us, comment, email, whatever you got to do. Bring us some more information, share your insight because it's so important. We are building a community, not a space of competition. We are building a space of learning, not of one size fits all. And so it's really important for you guys to share these things with us. Um, like, Abby, when we did our research or when we connect with the gods, we look at the Homeric hymns, the Orphic hymns, we look at the history, the archaeological findings.
Yes.
Um, and that is so, so, so important.
Mhm.
So if you are someone who is newer in connecting with Greek gods, wants to learn more, look at the information in the Homeric and Orphic hymns, the Odyssey, the Iliad,
I agree.
archaeological findings, all those different pieces. But I will also say, and I want to give a shout out to some very incredible social resources. These are not the end all be all. There are so many more. And I do emphasize that it's very, very, very important to look at the actual works. So make sure you're looking at the books and the text and all those different resources. But here are three incredible TikTokers that I follow that I have found has the most accurate and all like very informative information and resources on these gods. Um, The first one I also know that Abby follows because they are 10 out of 10, and their rituals that they show are beautiful, and that's Thorn.
I love Thorn.
Thorn is amazing.
Mhm.
Literally, their information is so cool, and just to watch them do their rituals is amazing as
Mhm.
well. There's also Callisto, and Callisto shares very, very textually based information and research, which is chef's kiss. And
Yeah.
Kala. Kala has literally play-by-plays, videos based on the Greek gods, and Kala also
Really?
sells what happened?
I'm gonna have to check them out. I have not
Yeah.
heard of them.
Oh my gosh. Like, the information they have is so cool, and it's easily digestible, and it's very user friendly, and they also sell
Mhm.
candles and other things based on the Greek gods, and they're
Oh, wonderful.
beautiful, like, beautiful, beautiful, and so
Mhm.
those are 3, there's so many more. Those are 3 that I personally have connected with and have felt like their information is amazing. Abby, do you wanna add anything else?
No, I think that was great. I feel like we got in so much that, like we said, that is literally the tip of the iceberg.
Yes.
And we'll be going in deeper. I know we will.
I yeah, well, definitely, and we're also, like, because
Yeah.
this is gonna be, like, um an extended like, they're gonna be episodes to this and categories. We're also gonna talk about other gods, other deities, other
Yeah.
higher
There's so
beings,
many other ones.
um, some
Even
that
in
we work
other,
with. Yeah,
yeah, even in other pantheons. Yeah.
yes. Yeah, I agree, like, some we work with directly, some that we don't. So it's very, very important to build that community because there are gonna be things that we don't really know a lot about that it's only gonna be on the basis of research. So, yeah. Abby, are you gonna pull cards for us?
Yeah. I'm gonna pull up a card
I'm so
from
excited.
the Southern Gothic Oracle deck. And the back looks like this. It's so pretty. It's like a wishbone. I'll put
Ugh,
these up real quick. I'm
those are
getting flipped
gorgeous.
off. Mm, that's the one.
Yeah, it is.
The Grove. This reminds me of Mount Olympus. Okay, so the
Ugh,
Grove. It means divinity and awe. So for this one, I'm gonna read what the artist wrote. But off the top, it reminds me. It's giving Mount Olympus.
it is good, especially with divinity.
Yes. Okay, let's see. I don't usually get that card a lot. That's interesting.
That makes me so excited.
Okay, it says sacred groves played a role in pre-Christian traditions throughout Europe, serving as the first churches of Celtic, Roman, and Greek and Germanic people. Baby, we having
No!
church today. We having church
Stop
today up in this
it! Dude, that's
podcast.
amazing.
I feel the gods up in this
I
podcast.
was like, "Oh,
For
yes."
the Lord. Jesus.
Feeling the
Anyway,
divinity.
okay. Serving as the first churches for Celtic, Roman, Greek, and Germanic people, many of whose descendants later immigrated to the American South. Traces of their ancient practices are still evident in some forests, monoliths, and carvings where people once worshipped in nature temples. In quotes. This feeling of entering into a sacred cathedral when one steps into an especially beautiful grove is, of course, not limited to any particular sect over or time period. The beauty of nature reminds us universally that the possibility of something greater than ourselves. The Grove card impels you to tap into your connection to the divine and to make your own solemn vow to the earth. Each of us has a responsibility to choose a role in our stewardship of the land in order to protect and cherish our natural world. Stand in the grove, close your eyes, and give thanks to nature's splendor. What will you give in return? I love
Dude,
that.
that is insane. I literally have full body chills that's the card that is pulled today.
Yeah, I like that. That's
That
so
is
sweet.
awesome. Ugh, and so what is your interpretation of it?
I think um it's definitely giving. I think for me, the Olympians, they're flowers
Yeah.
at the end of the day. And I do think it's like just a symbol of Olympia, the Grove, like that being a church. And also like just coming together and talking about the gods they love. It's a
Yeah,
devotional act. Like we at
it really
church.
is. Yeah, it really is. I love
Yeah.
that. Oh, that was
I think
I think that
that's
was
what it means for me. What do you think? What do you
I
think?
agree. No,
Yeah.
literally that is all I felt as you were reading. It was just the idea of like community
Yeah.
and spaces of worship and how it doesn't have to look a certain way. Like, I think that's
Yeah.
what I focused on the most of like our
Mhm.
worship, our devotion, our veneration does not have to all look the same way for it to
No, it
still be
won't.
something of value. And so like,
Mhm.
yeah, I think that was the perfect way to end it. And so thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that with us
That
and
was
for doing that
great.
for us.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. I love that Oracle deck too. The Southern Gothic Oracle is so
Ugh,
good. They
I
have
know.
like
It's
many
stunning.
different like add-on packs to it. I need to get them all. Like I just had the original, but yeah, I like it.
It's so beautiful. I love there's nothing like an aesthetically pleasing deck. I get it.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So thank you guys so much for listening, for being part of this community, and for being a part of us growing all together.
Yeah, thank y'all so much. It was so fun to talk about all the Olympians, and then we'll get into the other sects of the gods
Yeah.
next.
So exciting.
Chthonic deities,
Oh,
whatever y'all want.
the sun, the moon, the stars, and all of it combined.
Yeah.
As Abby was saying, leave your feedback, comment,
Hmm.
share, check in with us, ask questions, provide topics, give us spooky
Email.
stories, give us whimsical stories,
Hmm.
and just be part of this space with us.
Yep. I have fun today with you, Kimmy.
Yeah, me too. So I am Kim,
And I'm Abby.
and this is
Calabasas.
Cultura. Have a good day, everyone. I'll see you
Bye.
guys later. Bye.